This is day 14 of the 30-day reading challenge, and today's book is Bossypants by Tina Fey. It has about 277 pages, but it depends on your copy, and I sped through it in about 2.5 hours. Before I jump into the book's format and brief summary, here's a little background on the author. Tina Fey is an American actress, comedian, writer, playwright, and producer. She is best known for her work on the NBC sketch comedy series Saturday Night Live, and for creating the comedy series 30 Rock and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. This is generally what you'd come up with if you search her name. Anyways, Bossypants is her autobiography, and it was written in 2011. It shows you her life story, including her childhood, her parents, her high school and college experiences, her love life, her first day job at YMCA, and how she came to work at Saturday Night Live, her experience as a mother, and much more. Throughout the book, there are photos and interesting snippets of advice and information to guide you. For example, in her chapter about working at a theater called The Second City, she includes a box that describes what she took away from improvisation as well as the job. Here, I will quote the subtitle, "The Rules of Improvisation That Will Change Your Life and Reduce Belly Fat." I chose to read this book because it has a great reputation as a humorous book, and I was definitely not disappointed. As a comedian, Tina Fey uses all sorts of jokes, subtle humor, and anecdotes to create a suitable atmosphere for her autobiography. There were plenty of parts where I chuckled and a few where I laughed out loud. I always find it interesting to see how a famous person came to be, and what led up to their success, as well as what their childhood was like. The overall formatting of this book is also unique, as each chapter varies in length and style. Some of the chapters, like Remembrances of Being Very Skinny, are quite short and written in bullet points. Others are long stories filled with detailed accounts. Finally, sprinkled throughout all of the chapters are tidbits of advice and tips given from her perspective. It's up to you to judge how useful or relevant they are, but even if you can't utilize it in your own life, often these snippets also serve as great comic relief. As always, there's another side to all of this. Since it's an autobiography, it contains plenty of opinions, and especially since she's a comedian, plenty of her life stories may be embellished. However, this usually results in funnier material, so it may or may not bother you. Another note is that many of her jokes are cultural, so depending on how familiar you are with the pop culture world, some of her jokes may be confusing or complicated to understand. Finally, the target audience for this book is definitely for adults or young adults, since there are some very mature topics involved, often to create humor though. It isn't usually vulgar or disruptive, but just keep that in mind if you want to read this book, so it doesn't catch you off guard. Overall, I'd recommend this book to anybody who wants a good laugh or a sneak peek at a famous playwright and comedian's life stories. I'm sure you'll enjoy it, and you may even be able to walk away with a few pointers in life, especially if you seek to become involved in the pop culture field. That's all for today. If you've read the book, feel free to add anything that I've missed. If you have any suggestions or feedback for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for listening, and happy reading.